So Boston goes home and Tampa Bay goes on. Now, here's the question. I think it's a logical question. I think it's a question that many people are going to be asking. Was it because Rask left and Halak became the starting goaltender for the Boston Bruins? Is that why they lost the series against Tampa Bay? Well, Rask is better than Halak. I'm not going to argue that isn't true. And I think anyone that tries to argue that Halak is as good or better than Rask is not really analyzing the data to its fullest. But is Rask so much better than Halak that it was that piece that caused the Bruins to not be able to advance? Well, maybe. I'm going to say maybe. In fact, I'm going to say I think one could make a case that Rask's departure and Halak's insertion as the starting goaltender was a significant contributing factor to Boston's demise. What am I basing that on? Well, here are some statistics for you to consider. In the postseason, now this is not just in the Boston-Tampa series, this is in the entire postseason. Halak's goals against average was 2.76 versus Vasilevsky's 1.91. Now, Rask's was a little bit smaller sample size, so I'm not giving those numbers. Maybe I should, but oh well, it's too late. I've started the video and I haven't looked them up. So Vasilevsky's goals against average significantly better than Boston's. Now, anybody who really understands goals against average could make the argument that's a team statistic. You can't put all of that on Halak, nor can you reward Vasilevsky completely for that number that he has. All right, well, let's look at save percentage, because to me, save percentage is a much more real statistic to give you an indicator of how a goaltender played. When we look at save percentage, Halak was .902 in the entire postseason. Vasilevsky, .931. That's a significant difference. And by the way, I do remember on this one that Rask was .904 in all of his games. So even there, you downgraded 0.02 points from Rask to Halak. But it's tough to say what would Rask's have been going through a whole nother series. I don't know. Obviously, we'll never know. But Halak's was quite a bit lower than Vasilevsky's. Contributing factor? Well, absolutely a contributing factor. But what would have been different if Rask would have been in? Well, I don't know. Unfortunately, we'll never know. Shots allowed per game. Now, here I want to get into some team statistics. Boston's shots allowed per game in the playoffs, in the whole postseason, 29.6. Tampa Bay was allowing 32.2. So Tampa Bay was allowing more shots in the postseason per game than Boston. And yet Tampa Bay advances, Boston goes home. How about on the power play? Let's look at their special teams. Tampa Bay had a 17.1% power play in the postseason compared to Boston's 22.2. So Boston was more successful on the power play in the postseason and was allowing fewer shots per game. And when we jump over to the penalty kill, Boston 82.9 to Tampa Bay's 81.2. So Boston was better on both sides of special teams and better at keeping the shots down. And they also won more faceoffs. Boston's faceoff percentage, 53.1 to Tampa Bay's 47.7. Here's what I'm trying to demonstrate. And by the way, I know you could argue, well, when it comes to penalty kill, goaltending plays a huge factor in that, which is true, but not always. I mean, I've seen many penalty kills, and if you watch hockey, you have too. Many penalty kills where the opposing team, the team with the power play, doesn't get a single shot or never gets a quality shot. So Boston was better on the penalty kill, better on the power play, had a better face-off win percentage, and allowed fewer shots per game throughout the postseason. Again, I'm not just looking at the one series, but throughout the postseason. Better in all of these categories than Tampa Bay was, and yet Tampa Bay beat them. So where was Tampa Bay better than Boston? Well, their goaltending. Now, would Halak have been as good as Vasilevsky? I don't know. Would Rask have been as good as Vasilevsky? I don't know. Was Halak bad? No, absolutely not. Halak was not bad. Well, okay, he wasn't great in the one game where they allowed 7. He only allowed, I believe, 3 of those before he was pulled. But even there, that was some team breakdown. But Halak was not Vasilevsky. Could Rask have been Vasilevsky? Maybe. Maybe he could have been as good. I don't know. So I can see a Boston fan coming away from this series saying, if only Rask had stayed. And maybe that Boston fan has a sound argument, you know? Maybe that would have made the difference. To me, I think more often than not, when I was watching that series, I was seeing a Tampa Bay team that looked faster and more determined, quicker to pucks in a lot of situations, able to capitalize, but sometimes Vasilevsky made a save, Halak didn't. Sometimes it just came down to that. So I hesitate to say if Rask had stayed in, Boston would have won. But I will at least say that Vasilevsky outplayed Halak, and it's quite possible that that really was the difference in the series. It's quite possible that Tampa Bay advances because they had better goaltending. And in the next series, Tampa Bay versus probably the New York Islanders, we'll see what will happen there. Varlamov has been really good. Although, I don't want to sell the Flyers short, they still can come back and win, and Carter Hart also is a very good goaltender. I have never been a really huge Vasilevsky fan, but the man won a Vezina for a reason, and he deserves to be recognized when he has played well. And this postseason, he has played really well. So bye-bye, Boston. See you later. And Tampa Bay, bring on the New York Islanders or Philadelphia Flyers. We'll see what happens. Thank you so much for watching this. Please do give it a like if you found it entertaining, informational, or useful. Please also do subscribe if you have not already. Thanks again and have an awesome night. Bye now.